Hi, my name is Mark Bernot. I'm a monetary economist. In this video, I want to talk about the demographic decline in Russia and its impact economically on Russia. Will this demographic decline cause economic failure in the Russian system? And what is the prospect for Russia in the next even 20 years, the short intermediate term, because of this demographic decline? In my previous video, I discussed Ukraine, and I made the claim that it would not impact Ukraine's economic success. Ukraine will thrive. And I'm going to stick to that claim and back it up and give you more evidence related to Russia. What is the fate of Russia? If Ukraine can mitigate this, can Russia also? So the demographic decline argument comes again. It's a Malthusian argument, which is rebooted by Harvard economist Alvin Hansen in the 1930s in the context of the Great Depression, and Larry Summers 2013 with the secular stagnation theory of negative real interest rates, negative natural rate of interest. This is bunk, okay? This is a Keynesian argument gone haywire and not correlated with reality. I gave you a lot of examples historically in the last video how this didn't pan out. So when you're looking at data and logic, you want to look at two things. You want to either look at population data, like if you're a scientist and you're studying a population of a particular, let's say, disease, you can look at it high level, 10,000 feet, population data, which populations known in the world have this disease or phenomena, and what are the results. Or you can look at it from a logical, methodical, let's say that's the empirical approach, but it really isn't fully, or logical methodology. Logic, believe it or not, is usually more powerful when it comes to economics because aggregate data can't be fully trusted. But we can look, I've made claims like to support my claim that demographics doesn't matter. I made historical examples. I had one more for 1847, 1852, the potato famine in Ireland had a significant decline, like a significant, meaning like 1/3 decline in the population, and yet afterwards, Ireland thrived economically. I'm not saying it's a good thing for sure. Also, we can look at other economic data of populations. Can you make an argument that Iceland, New Zealand, Canada, Denmark, Finland, Norway, Sweden are economically worse off with their low population density than, let's say, India or the Philippines or Nigeria? So just to say, let's boost the population and you're going to get a great economic growth is a misnomer. So let's look at Russia and this idea that Russia, okay, maybe it can mitigate its economic decline, or maybe it can't. How do we proceed? I've made the argument that demographics don't necessarily affect the economics. But what does affect the economics? Let's go back to Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, 1776. He makes two claims that determine the wealth of a nation, the wealth of a country. The first claim is, and I'll get to that second, is specialization. But we'll get to a more important thing is connected to free trade comparative advantage. His exact quote is, let me find it here. It is the maxim of every prudent master of a family, never attempt to make at home what will cost him more than to buy. What is prudent conduct of every private family also can be applied to a great nation. So Adam Smith is rebutting, this cottage industry idea, domestication, which the Tsar of Russia currently has, is we're going to make everything at home. But Adam Smith says if you want to increase productive efficiency, buy from abroad at a cheaper rate. And now this may be shocking to populists, but again, I use the argument, I grow oranges in Florida and I can sell them to Vermont. Vermont grows, cold, hardy garlic, which I can't grow, or apples, and they can sell them to me. In theory, I could grow apples in Florida if I do, false dormancy and strip the leaves off, but it wouldn't be as productive as the Vermont apples. And in theory, in Vermont, they can create a greenhouse and create some citrus production, but it wouldn't be as productive as like Florida or California. So that's the comparative advantage of free trade. And if the Tsar of Russia wants to block this and use, non-friendly type activities in the world, aggressive, conflictual activities, it's like somebody at the office just making conflict with everybody. That's not going to get you that far. Okay? So this is not speaking well for the economic future of Russia, and that probably will have echoes for the next 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. He's, between the sanctions in the world, and he may say sanctions don't matter, but they do, because he's trying to get around it. That's fact and proof that they do matter. His economy is going to be shrinking and crushing because he's violating Adam Smith, Chapter 2, 1776, Wealth of Nation, the idea that comparative advantage is better if you trade freely with countries, free movement of labor and capital. Now, that's not the kicker. The kicker is this. Adam Smith, Chapter 1, 1776, Wealth of Nations. His main quote is connected to division of labor. The greatest improvement in productive power of labor, the greatest part of skill, dexterity, and judgment with which everywhere directly applied seems to have been the effect of division of labor. And Adam Smith uses the pin factory. So how does this apply to modern Russia? Every way. Russian economy is probably, and I'm not talking about any kind of innate characteristics of the Russian people, of course, but I'm talking about the culture, is the most passive, apathetic culture on earth. It's not only the most sanctioned, which violates Chapter 2 of Adam Smith, it's the most passive and most apathetic culture. And when you have division of labor, what does that mean? It means, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the psychology, or Erik Erikson, or you look at Viktor Frankl, okay? It's all about human psychology searching for meaning and wanting to actualize themselves. This striving for bettering myself. Me, for example, I grow organic, okay, if you want to help me, I have a website, martianpotatoes.com. I grow Martian potatoes, okay, and I sell those. And I also have, we have hot peppers, these specialized hot peppers. I like doing that. I love economics. I do the things that I really like to do. That's me being me. If I were to work as like a rocket engineer somewhere, through an economy like the Tsar of Russia where they treat people like cattle, I wouldn't be the most efficient rocket engineer. Maybe I could, because I have some aptitude with chess, but I wouldn't want to do it just because of motivation. I'm demotivated. I want to go back to growing Martian potatoes, right? As an amateur botanist. Mark Watley lands on Mars, PhD. He goes, I don't know what to do. Oh, I'm a botanist. I'm going to grow Martian potatoes. So that's kind of like what I do. And these hot peppers. It's when everybody's doing what they want to do is the world acts most efficiently. Think about it. Artists, creators, designers. We all have a special purpose on this life. In a command and control economy like the Tsar of Russia is now creating, that is squelched out. That division of labor is not the most efficient and productive. That's good. And when you have a passive economy, passive population like Russia is an apathetic, and I'm talking about the Russians in the context of Russia, not the Russians that have fled, like rats fleeing a sinking ship, which it is. They're not rats fleeing, but, it's a metaphor. These people are not being used to their best of their ability. They're not self-actualizing. It sounds abstract, but meditate on Adam Smith's message of division of labor. Square pegs are going into round holes in Russia. That's going to continue because the population is like, oh, it's whatever. I get paid a little bit more ruble here doing this. That's not the way to be a winner. A winner is think out of the box, be creative, do what you are meant to do in this life. Adam Smith, 1776, Chapter 1, the most efficient way is this division of labor when people are all gravitating towards their self-actualization and creating things. That's what America is about. That's what Western Europe is about. That's what free Asia is about. Any country, Australia. Okay? You got it? Demographics are not going to affect Russia. Adam Smith says it's not an effect. It might be a symptom. Again, how do we know the truth? Turn to economic theory. Great minds like Adam Smith only come around like once every few hundred years. Great book of the world. You guys should read it. So that's the theory. And the population data seems to support it. These depopulated countries, do relatively well. But Russia doesn't have the infrastructure to support a depopulated prosperity, and it doesn't have the idea that capitalism, free market, transparency of government, justice and order of law will rule. Ukraine, on the other hand, they're fighting for their freedom. They're fighting tooth and nail. And, it's like a spark or an ember that catches fire and can't be put out in Ukraine. That country is going to take off, and it behooves you to invest in something like Ukraine, not giving economic or investment advice. And the acid test of if you think Russia has any future, and I'm not recommending this, why don't you sell your house, take your IRA, invest your life savings, and put everything in the Russian ruble or the Russian economy. See where that gets you. So put your money where your mouth is. Based on economic theory, based on population data, any way you slice it. People are the best and the brightest are leaving Russia. The apathetic and passive, which will echo through generations of cultural stagnation, are staying. Russia and the Russian economy, dare I say it, is collapsing and going to collapse, and that's it. They're not even going to support themselves in the short term because they violated Adam Smith's specialization and free trade. That's it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Have a great day. My name is Mark Biernat. I'm a monetary economist reporting from Eastern Europe. Have a great day. Thank you very much.